Evening, folks. It's been a long day. I put in a lot of labor and ended up exactly where I started, except with some additional knowledge, which I suppose doesn't make it a complete waste. So the truck's been out of commission for about a month or so due to the brakes, and a lot of this is not the result of the little shop manufacturing disc brake conversion, and some of it is, in my opinion. So let me just walk you through what has been going on. So in my previous video, you know that I ended it by saying I had brake pedal was kind of squishy. So one night, called a friend over, I was like, hey, let's properly bleed these brakes according to their procedure, which with these calipers, you have to unbolt the caliper bracket from the axle flange and then get the bleeder valve into the 12 o'clock position. Most vehicles mount the calipers, like this, in this plane, thereabouts. So the bleeder valve's at roughly, 40 degrees. So you gotta get that rotated. Now, so we did that. My buddy's in the truck, I'm running around bleeding, and I'm really glad we did this. We flushed basically all of the old fluid out, and here's what the old fluid looked like. It was disgusting and definitely needed flushed out. So really glad that we took the time to do that. However, he was kind of saying like, JC, this is not getting any better. Like the pedal feels horrible. And sure enough, it would just sink. And, there were no leaks, nothing like that. And, we bled them for quite a while, passenger rear, driver rear. The RABS module has a bleeder valve on it. And then the passenger front, driver front. We did that multiple times. Pedal never got any better. So we called it, and I said hey, we'll get together another night, try this again. In the meantime, I ordered a power bleeder, even though that's not recommended in Little Shop's instructions. Seems to work fine, so I'm not sure why they're against it. But anyway, bought that so I wouldn't have to bug anyone. Tried bleeding them all again, same deal. Pedal would just sink to the floor. So, doing some research online and talking to folks, decided to replace the master cylinder. Ordered a brand new unit, bench bled it, installed it, bled all the brakes again, same deal, sinks to the floor. So contacted Little Shop and just told them what I was going through, and so they sent me, I told them basically I thought it was their calipers. Because if you would pinch off the rears, your pedal feel got better. So they sent me a new set of the generics, and I put those on. Same deal. No air coming out of anywhere, and yet the pedal just sinks. So kind of told, so I did some more research and suspected maybe it was the rear ABS module that was bad. So I found a site that had some diagnostics you could run that would give you an indication of whether it was good or bad. I can link that in the description. I don't think that's Ford specific, but just kind of a general rear ABS diagnostic procedure. And it passed. According to the procedure, it was good. So wrote back to Little Shop and just said, hey, I still think there's something wrong with your calipers. Can I buy the Wilwoods off of you? So they allowed me to do that. They did give me a discount, which was very kind. And I will say Little Shop has been very supportive of me this entire time. Very good customer service. So anyway, got the Wilwoods in, put them on, bled the system, same damn thing. Pedal just sunk to the floor. So I'm like, what the F is going on? So I figured there was literally nothing left to replace except the RABS module. So ordered a rebuilt Rebuilt one of those. You can't buy new, it doesn't seem. So got that in, installed it, bled everything, brakes are perfect. So obviously somehow the diagnostic procedure failed. I don't know what I did wrong. But anyway, fabulous. Now, one of the downsides of the Wilwoods is that you don't get a parking brake provision. And I basically decided, well, I can live with that. I pulled up what I thought was the correct Pennsylvania regulation on vehicle inspections regarding parking brakes. And it indicated that if one was present, you had to test it and it had to work. But it did not state one needed to be present. So I thought that was kind of my out. Turns out I was reading the wrong regulation. So you do actually need a parking brake to pass inspection here. That's on me, obviously. So, there's really nothing left for me to do except replace the Wilwoods, which were working, go back to these, which I assumed would work since it appeared to be the RABS module that was the problem. So that's what I've been doing today. Took the Wilwoods off, put these on, pedal straight through the floor. I'm like, what the hell? I mean, the first thought in my head was, did the RABS module go bad again? And before I started jumping any conclusions, I decided, you know what? This will be the final test on whether or not these generic calipers are good or bad. Took them off. And so on that, pedal went straight to the floor. I bled these twice, no improvement. When I say bled, I mean all four corners and the RABS module. Like everything that can be bled is bled. It's not better, but I decided to take it for a drive anyway. So I put it together, took it for a drive around the block, just thinking maybe driving it'll loosen some air bubbles up that are trapped somewhere. It was a scary drive around the block. Thank goodness I live in a relatively flat, slow residential neighborhood. Got back here, bled them again, same deal, straight to the floor. So rather than doing anything else, I took these off, put the Wilwoods back on, bled them once, they're perfect. So there is nothing wrong with the brakes in the truck. I think it's safe to say these are junk. I mean, now obviously there was a problem. The RABS module was bad. However, it's now good, and these still cannot be bled even according to the procedure that they give. So I think that there is a reason that there are no markings on this. I mean, no one's willing to put their name on this for a reason. So, obviously I still have a problem. I currently have a vehicle that will stop, but will not pass inspection. So my plan going forward, I have only one option open to me, basically. I'm going to have to fabricate a custom caliper bracket that has a second provision for a separate Wilwood parking brake caliper. There's nothing else I can do, really. I mean, these are obviously not going to work, and I have to have a parking brake to be legal. So all told, I'm going to have like $1,500 into this disc brake conversion that I thought was going to cost, around what, $600-700. Which actually is, my projects usually do cost twice as much and take 3 times as long as I plan. This one's a little outside of my normal scope as far as air goes. But yeah, definitely would not, if I knew how this was going to turn out, no way would I have gone down this road. However, I will say, Little Shop does seem to be a good company. I think they just have one bad component that they need to remove from their product line. And there are 2 reasons that I would not consider going with this again. And one of them is even if it worked. So, for obvious reasons, I wouldn't buy these if you're considering it, because in my experience, these are nothing but a headache, and you can't bleed them. So I'd avoid them for that reason. Now maybe I just got a bad batch. I mean, it's 2 sets, but it's possible they're from the same batch and have some design flaw. I don't know, or manufacturing defect. But the second reason that you should steer clear of these, in my opinion, is the bleeding procedure. Having to unbolt the caliper brackets from the flange, rotate the assembly just to bleed the brakes is insane. Every other caliper that I've ever encountered, you can bleed without doing that. And it's not just if you're messing with the rear brakes that you're going to have to do that. If you replace something on the front and have to bleed the system, you're going to have to pull your rear tires and wheels, unbolt the brackets, rotate these. It's insane. So I have had these on and off. The Wilwood's on and off. I'm over brakes at this point. But the entire process, everything that I have done, would have been twice as easy if you could have just bled these with them as they're mounted. So, yeah, I mean, I can't believe that they're selling a caliper that requires that procedure just to bleed them, which is a basic, basic maintenance task. So, if you're going with Little Shop, which I still think is a fine thing to do, go with the Wilwoods, and obviously you need to consider if that's going to work in your area with your local regulations. But I'll post everything that I've done and the cost, approximate cost, and I'm sure that if I contact Little Shop, they already actually sent me a return label for these. So I told them initially I didn't want it because I thought I was going to use them. And then after today, obviously that's not the case. So I think they'll take these back and refund me the difference, whatever that is, because they've been very accommodating. I think, like I said, I think they're a good company that is selling one bad component. So yeah, that's my saga, which is still not over. I still have to manufacture my own brackets, which not really set up to do that, but I'm sure I can figure it out. And then purchase the Wilwood parking brakes, which are, I don't know, that's gonna be about $400 just for those. So yeah, saga's not done yet, but we'll see how this all turns out. Anyway, that's where I am right now. I would not recommend these. I would recommend the Wilwoods if you're doing a disc brake conversion. Stay away from generic parts that no one will put their name on, and your life's gonna be easier. So anyway, that's all I've got for you at this moment, and yeah, I'll give you an update on how the thing actually turns out. So until next time, farewell.